Yo, what up? It's your boy Dave. This is gonna be episode 1, Takes from My Garage. Let me know if y'all think that name is whack. I got my mind on something else, but y'all let me know if y'all feeling that one. I'm embarrassed on how long it's taking me to put this out. I was supposed to have this done 2 days ago, but I suck at editing. And right now, I got nothing to put in here. So all you're gonna get is me and a blank wall behind me. So let's hope it's not too whack. Got a few topics I want to get into. So let's go ahead and dive into the first topic. First topic's going to be LeBron James on ring culture. So LeBron was on the Mind the Game pod with Steve Nash and had an interesting thought on ring culture. So I'll go ahead and read the quote. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport. You tell me Iverson, Barkley, Nash weren't effing unbelievable. They can't be talked about with these guys because they won rings. It's like saying Peyton Manning can't be in the same room as Tom Brady or Mahomes because he only has one ring. Barry Bonds never won a World Series, and you can't sit here and tell me that he's not the greatest baseball player to ever touch a bat. So I got some thoughts on that, but before I get into my thoughts on what he actually said, let me let y'all know what I actually think about LeBron. Because LeBron's probably the most polarizing athlete in my generation, and a lot of people are gonna either amen what he says if they super LeBron fan or always feel the need to defend him. And then you got some that just hate on him no matter what he says. So my thoughts on LeBron, I think he's top 4 all time. I think the only players who, in my opinion, that you can put ahead of him or on the same level as him is Mike, Magic, and Kareem. And when I say that, I mean in terms of individual accomplishments, MVPs, All NBAs, things of that nature, plus the team accomplishments, great regular seasons with a team, and obviously championships. I push back on people that hate on LeBron and say things like he's not clutch or such and such saved him. You know all the criticisms that LeBron's dealt with since he's been in the league. If you've been watching LeBron James, and I typically push back on those. And obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but I think Jordan is the GOAT, but I think LeBron has a case. And now to really dive into his actual comments. For me, rings aren't the end all be all. If they were, we'd all say Bill Russell was the top guy. But rings obviously matter. And to really attack what he actually said, let's talk about Barkley, Iverson, and Nash. Starting with Barkley, we all know, or at least I don't think it's a debate. Y'all let me know if there's a debate on this. Greatest power forward of all time is Tim Duncan. Now, I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but I bet you if I look at Tim's accomplishments, points, rebounds, block shots, plus minus, whatever the stat is, I don't know if he ranks number 1 all time, but he's got 5 rings. And he was the best player on at minimum 4 of them. Got 3 finals MVPs. We don't even discuss anybody else as the number 1 power forward of all time, and it's because of what he did. Then take Iverson, Steve Nash. Now Iverson, if you want to call him shooting guard, point guard, whatever the case, but let's just put him in the point guard category since we're talking him and Steve Nash. I don't think nobody denies how great those 2 players are individually. They were beasts in their time. But in terms of particularly small guards, the list is Steph Curry and Isaiah Thomas. I think Magic is the greatest point guard of all time. But if we want to just limit it to guys around that size, 6'3" or shorter, The list is Steph Curry and Isaiah, and it's because they led two teams to championships. It's just the way it works. And I think it should work that way because basically winning a ring, what it means is in the biggest moments when a team, you guys are going through the same things, you got the same time off, you're going through the same schedule, and the team gets the game plan for you, and you got to beat them best out of 7. That's going to really show who the real guys are, because you got a lot of guys who put up numbers in the regular season. They may put up numbers on bad teams in the regular season, but winning in those high leverage moments, particularly when a series is 2-1, 2-2, maybe 3-1, 3-2, to see those players that are able to produce and in those moments, that's why the rings matter. Now, obviously, when we're talking rings, everybody with rings ain't better than no damn Allen Iverson. Klay Thompson, for example. Klay Thompson's got 4. Nobody in their right mind think Klay Thompson is better than Allen Iverson because the role that he played on the Warriors, as great as he was the number 2. We look at the number 2 different than we look at the number 1. So that's an example right there on why rings aren't the end all be all. And then he brought up Peyton Manning. Well, no, Peyton Manning's not in the discussion with Brady or Mahomes. And it's because of the rings. Tom Brady is considered the GOAT. You can't say he's the best at one individual thing. He didn't have the strongest arm. He wasn't the most athletic. And I bet if you thought about Brady's stats, you don't know any of Brady's stats off the top of your head. But we know 2 things about Brady. Number 1, 7 rings. I was a Brady hater. 7 rings shut me up. So obviously rings matter. And we also know in the clutch, in the playoffs, regular season, we know Brady gonna get it done. And you can say the same thing about Mahomes. Even if you're not a Patrick Mahomes fan, you can't deny that dude, worst he's ever done is losing the AFC Championship. That's his worst season. Lamar Jackson, who I root for, has only been to the AFC Championship game once. Joe Burrow's been twice. Josh Allen's been twice. Mahomes been like 7 or 8 times. What are we talking about? The only quarterback who you ever even hear as better than Mahomes all time, other than Brady, is maybe like Joe Montana. And that's because of the rings. It matters. And then he brought up Barry Bonds. And with Barry Bonds, one of the number 1 reasons why he isn't considered a GOAT is because of the steroids. I don't necessarily agree with that, but with Barry Bonds, you got the steroids. And in baseball, and you can say this about football as well, only certain positions are judged by championships. Pretty much, it's pitchers in baseball and quarterbacks in football. And that's because pitchers and quarterbacks, they have the ball. If they play well, they're controlling the game. That's just the way it works. So that's why those positions are judged by World Series, not so much position players in either of the other sports. But basketball is even easier because it's only 5 guys on the court. So if you got one guy that's head and shoulders the best, that's a massive advantage, more than any other sport. In basketball, one guy can change the trajectory of a franchise. And when you're one of those guys, no matter what's going on around you, you're expected to eventually elevate that team to compete for championships. So I just flat out disagree with LeBron on his whole take on ring culture. And then here's where it gets a little bit trickier when you're talking about it. If you've been following LeBron his entire career, but particularly since 2016, you know pretty much anytime he talks about something in this context, he's not talking about Iverson or Barkley or Nash. He's talking about himself. He's really saying, just because Jordan has 6 rings doesn't make him the GOAT over me. And that's fine, that's his opinion. But it matters. And so Well, at least that's my opinion on why LeBron is doing what he's doing. So let's really break down why I would say Jordan is over LeBron. If we're talking individual, regular season accomplishments, Jordan got 5 MVPs, LeBron has 4, but I'll just call that a wash. Each of them have been on dominant regular season teams, but Jordan gets a nod on that because he's got the 72 wins. LeBron's never got to 70. That's something special that Jordan has over LeBron. What Jordan was great at also was scoring. And of course, LeBron now has the all-time record, but Jordan's got like 10 scoring titles. It's freaking insane to even think that somebody could do that. And he's averaging over 30 for his career, 50% shooting. Like, as great as LeBron is, that's something that Jordan doesn't have. Now on LeBron's end, LeBron's got like all the longevity stuff. He's gonna blow everybody out when it comes to longevity, and that matters. That's why a lot of people have him as a GOAT. And if you don't have him as a GOAT, 9 times out of 10, you have him at number 2. But what really separates Michael Jordan and LeBron is 2 series, in my opinion. Obviously, number 1 would be 2011 finals, because in that situation, LeBron had a team that was good enough to win it, and he was the reason they didn't. He flat out choked. Mike never choked. You can maybe say Mike didn't play well at certain times, but he never choked. And the other series I hold against LeBron would be 2017 against the Warriors, first year with KD. And it's not even just because they lost, but it's because, in my opinion, LeBron didn't want to go at Kevin Durant. And it looked like Kevin Durant wanted to go at him. Now, this is selfish on my part, but I wanted LeBron in that series to say, oh, y'all think y'all did something by getting this guy? I beat you last year, I can beat you again. And I wanted him to specifically outplay Kevin Durant and definitely be the guy on the Cavs to guard Kevin Durant. Because in my opinion, if you show, at least in fourth quarters, like even if you're not gonna do it the whole game, at least in the fourth quarter, you say, I got that guy. Because in my opinion, it sets a tone. Like, my guy is gonna step up and take away your guy and gonna lead us to victory. And in my opinion, LeBron didn't do that. In game 3 in that series especially, he basically let Kevin Durant walk into that 3 that basically ended the series before it could even get started. So those are the reasons why I think LeBron isn't the GOAT, because when he's talking about ring culture, I really believe all he's really doing is just making a GOAT case, which is his right, and he can say a lot of things like that, but I think that's all it is. And one other thing that I think is interesting, we'll never get the answer, of course, but I would love to see LeBron compare himself, not to a guy like Jordan, where he's in a position where he's chasing. How would he compare himself to a guy like Kevin Durant, a guy like Giannis, a guy like Jokic? And let's just hypothetically say those guys don't win another ring. Will he then make the argument that rings don't matter? Because in that case, he would have them outclassed. So that's something I'm curious. But I would like to know y'all thoughts. What do y'all think about ring culture? Do you think LeBron's right? Let me know in the comments. So now switching gears, another thing that I really want to talk about is this new Clipse album. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I was in 7th grade when the Clipse dropped their first album. When that Grinding came out, man, it had all of us in school who couldn't beat with if you was in school beating with the pencils or the pens on the desk, for all of us that couldn't beat, when that Grinding came out, that's finally a song that I could actually do the beat for at the water fountain, at the desk. So I always thought that was dope. But those guys, in my eyes, they're like just under legendary status for me, because their first 2 albums, just dope to me. Those boys, they killed it. I ain't really care for the third album. It was cool, but it wasn't really my thing. And I guess his absence make the heart grow fonder. I know Pusha T's been out still doing his thing, but No Malice getting back with Push, it just does something to me. And them first two tracks was fire in my opinion. Ace Trumpet, So Be It, fire. But I want to specifically talk about So Be It. So I was seeing online that Pusha T was coming at Travis Scott. Personally, I don't follow Travis Scott. I don't know much about him. His music just isn't for me. I heard the only album of his I was interested in listening to was Astro World. So I listened to it and it was cool. It had a couple tracks that I thought was decent. Travis Scott does have one song that I think is fire. I think it's called Franchise. It's got Young Thug and I can't think of the other chick. But I think that's one Travis Scott song that's like in my playlist. It stays in. It's not in the rotation, but if it come on, I ain't skipping it. But I don't know much about Travis's personal life. I did know that people said he was like an ASAP Rocky clone or whatever like that. I didn't really see it. I didn't think they had the same style. But again, I don't listen to enough of his music to maybe be able to make the connection. And so when I heard So Be It, I heard the line Pusha was saying, but I didn't know who he was talking about. I didn't even know it was directed at somebody until I saw the video on YouTube and I read the comments and I was like, you beefing with Travis Scott? That's interesting. And so when I found out he was beefing with Travis Scott, I'm messy. I love rap beef, as long as it don't get violent. But if it's just bars, I love it. So I get on, I start searching, and I'm seeing everybody talking about it. And the thing that was interesting to me is I was seeing a lot of people online saying that like Pusha T gonna end Travis Scott's career. And I just disagree with that. Because the reason I wanted to acknowledge that I'm a big Clipse fan, I'm 35, I'll be 36 this year. Travis Scott fans, they wasn't really around when the Clipse were like at their peak in terms of popularity. So the Clipse don't mean to somebody who's say 28, 29, who's probably been a Travis Scott fan since they were like 13. Pusha T doesn't mean anything to them like he means to me. That's just like a generational gap. So I think, number one, we can't just necessarily say Push is gonna win. I think he can win. I don't even know if Travis can rap like that, if this battle rapping is his style. But I don't think it's gonna end anything, and I don't think it's gonna be this like cultural shift that some of the people who I was seeing talking about. I think it's gonna be something where Push will make like a super scathing diss record, maybe have some embarrassing things about Travis that he already knows, just because of relationships that he and Trav both have with like Pharrell, Kanye, and things like that. And of course, I'm sure he'll make a connection with Travis Scott and Drake. I think they're pretty close. So I think he may say some embarrassing stuff. But for the most part, I don't think Travis Scott fans will care what Pusha T's opinion is. Like, man, they'll probably say some shit like, man, you 48. You too old for that. So I don't think it's going to be this cultural shift. And of course, this comes off of, the back of the Kendrick and Drake beef. And, some people will say Kendrick, ended Drake. But if I'm not mistaken, when Drake's album with Party Next Door dropped, I think it was #1, like right off the bat. And this is like 2-3 months after the Not Like Us craze kind of went away. And so Drake ain't going nowhere. And for the people that are fans of Travis Scott, I really don't think that a scathing diss from the Clipse is going to change their mind. So let me know what y'all think about that. Put that in the comments. And I'm just curious know what y'all think about that. And one of the last things I want to talk about, and I think this beef is a good segue, is my GOAT, Lil Wayne. So Carter 6 dropped, I think 2-3 weeks ago now. And of course it's getting slammed by everybody, and rightfully so. You know, some bad production on there. And of course, Wayne is like 44, 45, maybe, still rapping about the same shit he was rapping about when he was, 21. You know, it's the same like hypersexual lines about drugs, rapping about just being good at rapping. But my question, I saw so many people that were disappointed with the album. And I was so curious to why they were disappointed. Because I've been a fan of Lil Wayne since Hot Boys, since I was in about the 4th grade, back when he wasn't even cursing. And this is kind of what I expect from Wayne at this point. I mean, the way I look at Wayne started out with Cash Money. I saw Bun B did an interview about Lil Wayne with Cash Money. And when he talked to Birdman Slim, they said, hey, we're going to keep this boy in the studio, because they knew, because he was a prodigy. And I mean, he was rapping with grown men who was running the streets, and he was rapping about street stuff as a kid, not cursing, and it wasn't even whack. And a lot of times, in my opinion, when they all got on track together, in my opinion, only Juvenile was ever better. I mean, I wasn't really that big a BG fan. So I know some people probably say BG and Juvie was better, but for me, the only one in the clique that was better was Juvie. And sometimes Wayne got him too. But when you look at Wayne's life, he was a star at 16, 17 years old. And when he was young in Cash Money, he had Manny, Juvie, BG, and of course, as a younger man, still has the influence of his mom. So he was more grounded, and you would get songs like F the World, where he would be talking about, some real life stuff, things like real life problems that he's going through. But then of course, Wayne had to deal with, Juvie and BG leaving, Turk getting locked up. But he still had Manny Fresh, and I'm pretty sure his mom's influence was still there. And so, like, when he dropped albums like 500 Degrees, the Carter 1, he was rapping about, money, sex, drug dealing, all that type of stuff. But he would still be able to throw in a song like, Man, I Miss My Dogs, because he was still a little grounded. He was still kind of tethered to real life. But then, of course, after a while, Manny Fresh leaves, Cash Money, Katrina. So now he's out of New Orleans altogether. He's in Miami. And this is around, I guess, Carter 2, maybe after the Carter 2. And this is also when he's like really killing the mixtape game. And so now he's in Miami, and it's just him and Birdman. Now he's not tethered to real life anymore, because Birdman, I don't know this for a fact, but I don't think Birdman would hold him accountable in terms of, morals the way I think the other guys did. So I think that's why you start to see him really going crazy with the drugs, the lean, or the whole thing. But he's still excellent at rapping. And what he was rapping about by then was acceptable for a young man still. Because at this point, he's only like 22, 23. So then you fast forward, and I'm growing up with him, by the way. So in 2007, when I think Wayne was like at his peak in terms of popularity, I just turned 18. So I'm still with that type of stuff. And all the way up until about No Ceilings, maybe Sorry for the Wait, and mixtapes, if you're not familiar, that's when I was still heavy on Wayne. Like, I'm waiting, going crazy. Anytime Wayne drops something new, I got it the day of. I'm on goddamn Dat Piff, What's another one of the mixtape sites? I can't even think of the name of it. But every time he drop a mixtape, I gotta have it because I was that big into Wayne. But then I'm growing up as well. So now you fast forward to about 2013, I think is that year. He dropped an album, I'm Not a Human Being 2, Part 2. He had a single with 2 Chainz. Single was fire. So I'm excited. I'm still excited for the album. But by this time in my life, I'm still young. But at this point, I got 2 children, son and a daughter. And so what I'm looking for in terms of what I'm listening to, I'm maturing and I'm not really into the same stuff I was into at the time when I was heavy into Wayne. And he had a song on that album that was so whack, and I just said, you know what? I don't need to hear no new Wayne albums because I outgrew that by that point. Still my favorite rapper, don't change. When I hear the old stuff, I still get the same nostalgia, but I don't really feel it for the new stuff. And the reason I say all of that is the Carter 6 is exactly what I expected it to be. I don't even know what made me listen to it because it's the first Wayne album in a while that I want to listen to. But the disappointment that I saw some people have with the album, maybe it's because, people thought he was going to lock in after the little Super Bowl thing with Kendrick. But this album is about what I expected and especially when it comes to the production, because Wayne he's a rap genius. He was never a musician or a musical genius. So he doesn't have that ear for like what the next sound is going to be. He's not going to evolve in that way. That's why he needs a great producer. So I think Wayne could make a great album if you put him with the right producer. I'd love to see him do one with Manny Fresh. Just bring Manny Fresh back, feature the Hot Boys, even throw the Young Money crew on there, Drake, Nicki, all of those folks. But I think with the right producer, he could still make fire because lyrically, he's still one of the best out there doing it. He just don't have nothing to say. And the only thing that offended me, and I'm down this hill, I seen some people saying that was Lil Wayne ever good? And I imagine these are people who, when the Super Bowl thing was going, were pitting Wayne and Kendrick against each other, like damn near like on some beefing type stuff. And we in an era now where everybody has to pick sides, where if you dissing my favorite rapper, well, now I don't like you no more. I don't understand that. But for you little niggas saying that was Lil Wayne ever cold, man, sit down somewhere. It's the same issue I had when you bring it back around to basketball when people try to say Jordan was out there playing against plumbers. Or people that try to say like somebody like Mike Vick wasn't everything we say it was. And it's one of those things, yeah, you can go back on YouTube and you can look at highlights of an athlete, back in his day, or you can go in with music, you can download the old Wayne mixtape right now. But what y'all ain't gonna understand if you wasn't there, what Lil Wayne was doing was revolutionary in terms of rap. He made it where people cared more about their mixtapes than their albums. Lil Wayne, when he would make a mixtape, he would get on somebody else's track, and it ain't their track no more. When you get on anybody else's beat and you hear that lighter flick, you already know he finna smash it, and this ain't your song no more. I can't think of it's song like when I hear Swag Surf. I still be rapping when I'm trying to listen to the actual Swag Surf, like at a wedding or something. I'm still thinking about Wayne version because he killed it so hard. Or like Ice Cream Paint Job. I know, and those are songs that I loved when they was out. But Wayne killed them so hard that all I wanted to do was listen to the Wayne version by the time he got on it. So to the kids that really believe that, it's just one of those things. You had to be there. You'll never understand what it was if you wasn't there. So y'all let me know what y'all think about Lil Wayne, his career, and what y'all thought about the Carter 6. Was it whack? Because I think we pretty well established that it was whack. But was it unexpected? Were you surprised at how bad it was? So yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about that in the comments. And I said this was gonna be the last thing, but I got one more thing on my mind. And this will be the last thing. Kevin Durant. During the NBA Finals, I'm hearing people saying Kevin Durant could go here, Kevin Durant could go there. Man, Kevin Durant's one of the greatest to ever play. But if I'm a team like the Spurs, the Rockets, or whoever, I don't see it making sense to getting KD, because as great as KD is, he costs too much. You're going to have to give up players because you got to match the contract. Phoenix, the position they're in, they're going to want draft picks because they don't have draft picks till like 2030. And so you're really going to be gutting your core to get an aging superstar who you don't even know if he's even going to be available in the playoffs. Now, if any of those teams could get KD as a free agent, awesome, because he can get on any team. He's still a bucket. But I don't see nobody trading for him and then making noise after the trade. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Make sure you get in the comments. And if you like what I'm doing, like, subscribe. And if you don't, still like and subscribe. And let me know how I did, man. I'm gonna be talking about a whole bunch of topics, mainly sports and music, but let me know if y'all want to get my thought. Well, you ain't gotta let me know. I'm gonna do it either way. I got some Star Wars and some Dragon Ball Z content coming up next. Y'all be easy. Take it.